actually, aren't we? Would you class that as a biscuit? So would you class that as a biscuit there?
A biscuit or a cake, like a Jaffa cake, biscuit or cake, who knows? I'd class tonics as a biscuit there.
Yeah.
I love them as well, proper Scottish. That. I like something that you can dip in.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, I quite like a hobnob. That's a durable dipping biscuit.
Definitely. Hello, welcome everyone. We're talking about biscuits right now. That's what the tech talk is about today. I don't have anyone else waiting, so I'm going to start, and I'll admit people as they turn up today. So I'm going to repeat myself a little bit, so bear with me. My name's Claire Duffield, Digital Engagement Librarian for Leeds Libraries, and welcome to today's Tech Talk with Buttercrumble, Abigail and Chloe, the twins. They're on screen at the moment. And we've also got our guest librarian, Sapphia Cunningham-Tate, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about DropIn Draws. I'm just going to go through some ground rules first of all. You can keep your videos on, and you can your mics are switched off, and this is just so that we do not disturb the speakers. I think our librarian is getting attacked by a cat right now, but I think she'll be all right. So if you do want to ask any questions, please put them in the chat. I will just say a big hello to you all in there. And I will read them out at the end of the speakers. Just to be aware that this meeting is being recorded and will go up onto Leeds Library's YouTube. So if you do not want your name or your face appearing on them, just keep on mute and keep your video off, and you won't appear at all. Chat won't appear either, so don't worry about that. Okay, so this is a safe space. We want to be all friendly. So please do, sorry, Saf's distracted me with her kitty cat. It's called Archie.
I'm really sorry. I had to move rooms because obviously this COVID experience, someone's decided to do like their gardening with a buzzsaw outside, so I had to move rooms, and now I'm being attacked by the cat.
That's okay, lovely. We love Archie. Archie's a wonderful kitty cat. He's our library mascot. So please do share that you were at our talk today at Leeds Libraries on Twitter, and you can also go on Facebook as well if you want to. So we started doing these talks at the start of lockdown because we wanted to stay connected to our communities. We wanted to share the amazing resources that we've got in libraries. We can now do that with our online resources, but also our libraries are gradually reopening. You might have seen that Central Library is now open again, and you can check out all the open libraries and what services are available there on leeds.gov.uk/libraries. Also ask anything in the chat today and we can help you with that. We wanted to be able to share ideas as well. We've got a fantastic digital and cultural community in Leeds, and we wanted to bring that to our service users and make sure that we all stick together as well. So we wanted people to become the creators of digital and know what was possible. Sometimes we focus a lot on the basics of digital, and they can be really, really useful, but we can aspire to do a little bit more sometimes as well. Okay, so that is enough of me talking today. It's wonderful to have you all here today. I'm going to start off by introducing what we're doing. So first of all, we're going to have Sapphia Cunningham-Tate talk to us about DropIn Draws. Then I'm going to hand over to Buttercrumble, who will talk to you about what they get up to, and also maybe 12 ways of how you can be innovative. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. And then we will do the Q&A at the end of the talk. So Sapphia, if you're ready, look forward to Sapphia and Archie the cat now. Take it away, lovely.
Yeah, I'll have to apologise if you can hear him purring. I tried to get rid of him, but it didn't work. I'm just gonna share my screen now. So this talk is about trying to be innovative, and obviously the way that we've had to change and adapt recently. I am a librarian and I look after the drawing room, which is based in Leeds Central Library. It's a really nice creative art space. We regularly let lots of different people in. We also have loads of amazing, wonderful resources. We do lots of different things. So you can come in, you can do live drawing, you can do textiles, you can do print screen workshops. We do it very renewable resources. We like it to be really environmentally friendly, but it's also a really large part of it is about trying to make sure that we encourage people to think about their well-being and take time for themselves. As an illustration art student as well, like, it's my bag, I love it. The current situation with obviously the COVID response, we've really had to consider and think about how we, sorry, it's not moving. There we go. We've had to really consider about how our services are available to our service users. So we've had to be creative. We've had to change up what we do. The drawing room, obviously we used to do workshops in the library. They were physical. People used to come in. They used to explore the materials and all the resources that we had to offer. But we didn't have that. Especially, we don't have that now still because we're not able to offer those safe spaces due to the way that we've had to change things. And obviously the way that events are done now, but we've had to adapt to these challenges. We've had to adopt new ways of working and try and continue the foster of the love of physical things, tackling limitations, but also offering opportunities. So the Leeds DropIn and Draw was an activity profile that we created as part of a response to what was happening, so that we could get people to think about our specialist collection items. We've got lots of wonderful things in these libraries that some people already know about, but actually quite a lot of people don't. And we wanted to make sure that actually we use this time as an opportunity to share it. So every Thursday, actually right now, I'm missing one, I've pre-scheduled everything. We do our inspirational topic. So today we're doing owls, very Leeds, and we share specialist collection items based on the topic. So for example, today is owls, so we're sharing our tapestries, we're sharing our sculptures, and lots of obviously the different things that we recognise as part of Leeds City. Yep. We've had a really good response in the Leeds DropIn and Draws. This is an example on the screen of the posts that we've been sharing. So we have been sharing them on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And we've done that to make sure, again, that we reach all different types of audiences, but also on Instagram, it looks really beautiful and we get a really nice archive of our stuff. So for example, this was on week 14 where we were sharing the GOT collection, which is over 600 rare books that were donated to us, which is very beautiful. And we asked people to respond to these images by creating their own artwork. The artwork isn't specific. You don't have to do it in a certain manner. You don't have to draw. You can photograph. We've had people share textiles. We've had people share GIFs and videos. So it's a really nice way of getting people to respond to us with just one simple image. But actually people have been like, we've had people talk to us about our collections. We've had graphic art studios and businesses that haven't realized that we've got this massive stock within these libraries that they can access and utilize in their own working, especially as a lot of it's copyright free. It's also an opportunity for artists to have an opportunity where they've given something to look at and then create a creative response. For example, this is some of the images that I used when we did the library tiles. The library tiles are famous in Leeds. I feel like hopefully all of you should know about them. But even like when we opened Central Library, we've had people posting the library tiles because they're just something that we're famous for, because they are so beautiful. within the drop-in and draw post, it's not just about sharing artwork, it's not just about asking people to respond, it's also about sharing stories within our library service. So for example, with the tiles, because we know that they're so popular, they are a really good theme because people can focus on patterns. But we also talked about, so for example, the first image, which I believe is on your top left, is an image of the existing tiles within the library, within Leeds Central Library, that when we created our recent Leeds Library logo, that was just the rebranding, the artist actually used all of these 3 tiles and then developed our logo to create our current branding, which I think is actually a really nice way of, again, incorporating who Leeds libraries are and actually making people realise what that logo is about, which a lot of people wouldn't have already. And then also we've got 2 beautiful pictures, which are both the reading room, but you'll notice actually the larger image is actually the tiled hall cafe, which obviously some people didn't realise was actually Leeds Libraries and this was in 1884. Other examples that we've shared across the week, it has been 18 weeks. So it's been a long-standing campaign that I don't think we realised we would get to this point. And again, I think it's crucial to highlight about how important digitalising collections are, because we would have never been able to get this far if we hadn't have already constantly thought about how we archive our collections and our specialist items. This again is the Got Request collection. I said earlier there's over 600 items. It's beautiful. Like the lady that collected these knew what she was doing. We've got a picture on the first image is creative response from an artist, Yun, who used obviously this image for her inspiration. And then we've also got a really cool like old terrarium book that went mental on Facebook and Instagram, because it's not, obviously we're libraries, we're not just about art, we're also about books, and it's really nice to actually get people, the whole point of this is also to think about our objects, but think about libraries, but also think about themselves and how they associate with art and reading. And I think that sharing books like that is a really good way of getting people to do that. And it's kind of worked in stats, it's shown that that's what people do. We've also looked at British Birds by Archibald. It's very good. Again, we've got a really nice artist response from our posting. We also have a nice little sneak peek image of the stacks. Sometimes looking at this, actually, I think now, I think a bit like what Buttercrumble are going to be talking about, we have to be quite innovative. I feel like once upon a time we would never share an image like that because we wouldn't really feel like it's quite appropriate or professional enough or sophisticated enough. But actually, and I don't know about you guys, but I actually really like that image. It makes you have a sneak peek into the stack. It's a hidden part of the library that people don't get to see. And I think at a point where we actually don't have access to something, it's actually like we've got a sneaky bit of access, which is really lovely. And Frida Kahlo, you know, complete doll, artist, reference, again, looking at our books, looking at what we have in libraries, but actually it is connected. The Scatchard postcards, we used this, actually this was our first drop-in and draw. It was a really nice one to start with, because we wanted to, every time that we set a challenge, we wanted to try and think about things that were available to everybody. So obviously, especially when we were all in a situation where technically they didn't really want, like, we weren't supposed to leave the house. We needed something that people had access to. So the Scatchard collections were of Victorian postcards that we were donated to in the 1990s. And they're really beautiful Victorian collection. But we focused on ones with animals on, specifically pets and creatures that you might be able to find. So we sort of did a draw your pets, draw your friends' pets. And it was a really nice way of people responding to us. And we got loads of like grumpy cats and happy dogs. And, you know, we did a bit of a war on what's better, cats or dogs. Clearly I'm on Team Cat. That there is also a picture of Archie, who clearly invaded the screen earlier. Claire's always going to be on Team Dogs. And obviously we had a really nice response from someone who sat in her garden and drew a picture of her dog with a nice image of her dog, which is obviously what we all want to see. We've also got this one. I can't see the screen right now, but you guys can read it. But it's a really nice, beautiful book that we've got in the collections, and it focused on bugs and beasties. Again, with the summer, we wanted a link to that, but also throughout every theme that we've done, we've tried to link up with other cultural organisations and cultural projects that have been going on. So with this one, I linked up with Milo Phillips, who's working for Leeds Museums, and he's doing the Dead Inspiring project, which focuses on trying to get young girls into like entomology and looking into sciences. So that was something that has been key to every focus that we've done, because it's not just about sharing what Leeds Libraries does, especially in a situation now where everyone feels quite restricted. It's about throwing out all the open resources that we have going at the moment. So yeah, I kind of run down what we were going for when we were doing Leeds DropIn Draws. It was about promoting our collections. It was about showcasing also existing workshops that we've done. People see libraries as books. There'll be people that come to these tech talks that had no idea that we do stuff like this. With a weekly DropIn Draws, even though it's themed, we've been able to focus on workshops that we've done in the past. So like we've done terrarium workshops, which I still have very beautiful terrariums from what I made terrariums. We do print workshops, we do sewing workshops, we do, obviously we've got Studio 12, we've got the Creative Graphics Suite, we've got all our tech, we've got our code clubs, but it's also about sharing other online activities. So with, for example, the Tiled Hall, I'm sharing local family history and all their collections and all their amazing talks that they do. But we're also sharing like code clubs, and we're sharing museums and all the things that they're getting along with. So it's really nice for partnership working as well, because we're able to like embolden and embed all of our services as a part of the cultural network to everyone that accesses our social media. Our social media did do really well. It was really nice. We got really good responses. We got really good engagement. We had lots of people sharing what we did. And it was really nice with people showing us that the projects, even if they didn't necessarily take part straight away, it was really positive for their well-being, whether it was seeing images that they really loved, awing at our collections, awing at our special books, or also like thinking about their well-being and taking time out for themselves. But I think a part of it, all of it, was that across the whole thing, we've thought about our collections. We've made sure that we're sharing them, because actually when we work day to day, like stuck in all the libraries, we don't have time to think about all the amazing things that we have, all the amazing specialist collection items that we have. And the really important thing about items, like especially from like an archival setting, is if people don't know about them, they can't appreciate them. If people don't know about them, they can't make them part of, like, items are made special by the way that people attach to them and how they associate with them, and they become important through people's, like, my words have gone now, but by the way people, they become a part of their lives. They share the stories of the item. They make the stories regarding to the item. So for example, when we shared the tiles, we also looked at Bermontoss pottery, and through sharing the post and sharing the pottery, we had one person come back to us and say that, oh my god, their grandma has one and they didn't realize what it was, and their grandma like lives in Durham, but somehow she managed to get this Bermontoss pottery, which is obviously over 90 years old. And like sharing those stories is a really nice thing to do as part of the city and our collections. And on top of that, kind of digitalizing acts as a reminder of the importance of cherishing and preserving them. On top of that, obviously you can see my joke on the screen, like, if all else fails, just share a fancy stairwell or great green tile. These posts went mental. I don't understand. Like, I personally don't even like the stairwell. I don't really like brown tiles, but apparently other people do. And it had much more likes after 118 likes. Our Instagram wasn't really something that we focused on. And by doing these sessions, it's really boosted our figures, and I said we wouldn't have got 180 likes before. And I think that was about me done. So obviously you can join in the Leeds DropIn and Draw. If you have any owly pictures or owly things that you would like to share with us, you've got till 2 o'clock, so you still have an hour after this presentation. We're using the hashtag Leeds DropIn and Draw, and I say it is every Thursday 12 to 2 p.m. and we have a different theme every week. To give you a heads up, next week is weather. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sapphia. You've been wonderful. I absolutely love your passion for all things libraries, our tiles, our collections, and such an amazing job showcasing it to people of Leeds throughout lockdown and carrying on as well. So yeah, please do drop into DropIn and Draw. Hashtag DropIn and Draw every Thursday, 12 till 2 p.m. So thank you. We're going to move over to our guest speakers, the wonderful Abigail and Chloe, who I first met in Studio 12, like I don't even know how long ago now, 5 years possibly. I've kept in touch since, and I'm a massive admirer of their work. So, on you go.
Oh, thanks, Claire, and hello everyone, and well, we're just really pleased to be here and to share our insights. So hopefully we've just set up the technology. Lovely. Yeah, I can hold on. Let me just make sure that can you see our presentation?
Good, it's gone now. If you hit share screen again.
Let me try again.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
Brilliant.
Then I don't know if, yeah, just make it full screen possibly.
So with sharing is pause, bring up.
We can see it.
I think I've got it.
Fabulous. Yes, wonderful, thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Lovely. So, yeah, thank you again to Claire and also to Sapphia for that wonderful presentation. I think it ties in really well to what we're going to be speaking about today. And really, I think if there ever was a time to pivot and to innovate, it is now. Yeah, absolutely. So, in case you don't know who we are, we're Buttercrumble, and well, it's been a really transformative year for us because a lot of our work has, well, to be honest, a lot of our clients have suffered, and that's been really difficult due to the lockdown. And the lucky thing is, though, that because what we do is much of it is digital, that means that we've been able to continue supporting organisations virtually through graphic design, branding and illustration. And I'm going to use the C word, but the coronavirus has arguably been the biggest global driver of change that we've ever seen in our lifetime. And that crisis has stopped so many businesses in their tracks, including us, even though a lot of what we do is digital. And naturally that means that many people have had to rethink their business model or even careers. Yeah, so this presentation is going to reveal 12 ways that you can innovate without reinventing the wheel. And we think that part's really important because innovation can sometimes seem like a really huge thing, and you know, it feels inaccessible and out of reach, but it really is possible for everybody to innovate during this time. So Buttercrumble is a creative communication studio. We're based here in Leeds and we specialise in playful graphic design, illustration and branding. And this is always with an ethos of making people smile. And when the lockdown hit, it was really it took us back to the early stages of the business. Because when we started Buttercrumble, we did start that remotely at home in front of our computers, and as twins living together, it was so easy for us to collaborate in this way. We originally started sharing our designs online through a social media site called DeviantArt, which I think maybe quite a few years ago now, it was kind of it was the platform to go to. I think it's maybe dropped in popularity in recent years. But just going back to those kind of times where we're working more digitally, it's really made us rethink our business. We've had thoughts about the studio space and how we can encourage more digital collaboration. And we really do think that gifts can be found in these darker places. Yeah, and this is just a few examples of different organisations that we've had the pleasure of working with, providing design or illustration. So like Chloe said, that there was the pandemic has really changed the way that we work, in terms of we had to move away from our studio, which we're sat in now, back to home working. And with that, it's just meant that we have had to take a step back, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I also think that with the pandemic, there can be a lot of pressure to try and save the world. And although that would be really nice, I just think it's too much pressure to carry on one pair of shoulders. Don't think that innovation is all about reinventing the wheel. It's just about creating new things. It's continuous improvement, and it can include all aspects of your life or your business. It really is about that cumulative effort. So don't worry too much about kind of taking the world's problems onto your own small shoulders. It's more about little and often. Yeah. So now I'm just going to talk about something that I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable about speaking about, and that is the elephant in the room, money. And this applies to individuals who are employees and to businesses as well. But we do have to face facts that without turnover and profit or income, businesses would cease to exist. And you do need to ensure that you can make a living. And if you do find that you hit a sticky point in your career or in your business, you may need to pivot. So take the time, again, this is for individuals and businesses, take the time to re-establish your skills and offering, really evaluate and think about what you can bring, and you can use this to boost your income. We're going to go through the kind of 12 different steps that you can do this, and we really want to reiterate that it's just about being transparent about this elephant in the room. And if you can be transparent with your colleagues and your audience, you can really nurture trust and connection with them. And this kind of improvement for yourself and your business and your colleagues, customers, it's a win-win situation for everybody. Yeah, so we're going to move on to the 12 ways to innovate now. And the research was from this, was actually from business innovation and marketing professors, but we've adapted it, and it can be applicable to businesses or just yourselves as individuals. And these are 12 things that you can kind of do today to start taking action and maybe pivoting and give yourself a bit of a refresh. Exactly. So the first tip is to kind of, I suppose, take part in activities like the one today. So you can really network for knowledge and opportunities. If you're not sure how to get this eureka moment, like eureka, we can innovate, you need to get networking. So when you connect with your network, you can really discover new opportunities and learn from your peers. So like the drawing club, you can go along to those things or take part digitally, and you might learn something new from the people that you meet there. So I would say as a quick action, check out that, and also check out Eventbrite and get booked on to different networking sessions. There's all different types, and some are quite specific, some are more open to everybody. So there's really no excuse for not getting involved. And also don't forget to record down the names of the people that you meet and follow up, because this is how you're going to keep the conversation going. Yeah, you can also redefine the different ways that you get paid, either your company or yourself individually, by creating these new revenue streams. So, and I would really recommend not to place all your eggs in one basket. So during the lockdown, we have a friend who is an artist, and as well as working on commissions and exhibiting, she's now actually started running her own online art courses, and that's just another way of making income and offering that kind of security blanket. Exactly, so it's all about being creative really, and you can also redesign your core operating processes to improve efficiency. So I think a lot of people have had more time on their hands, and if you are one of those people, you can look at small ways you can improve efficiency and effectiveness through redesigning these kind of processes. And I suppose it's even more important to people that are really busy, because you could find ways to do things quicker. So are there any ways that you can bring automation into your life? So we use a tool called Trello, where we can set up to-do tasks, and then it gives us little reminders, or it'll assign different people to those tasks. And you can also use, for businesses, there's different customer relationship management systems like HubSpot, which we know is very popular. Or if you're somebody that spends a lot of time writing emails as well, why not think about creating a set of ready-to-go email templates? And these can still be very personal. Just use these as the foundations, and then you know, you can adapt and tailor them, and it saves time. Again, these email templates can translate well to if you're working in store. Could you have some little ready-made scripts just to aid some of that communication there? Yeah, and also diversify your company's activities, or even you personally. So you could introduce a new social good initiative, or create a special loyalty scheme, or you personally could join an organization or club. So for example, Costa Coffee welcomed its customers back to their cafes through a free coffee via their app. And Marks and Spencer's also donate to charity and offer customers benefits through their Sparks card scheme. So there's lots of ways that you can maybe just do something a bit extra curriculum by introducing a new scheme, and often this can just be to do social good. Yeah. And then something a lot of our clients are doing at the moment is thinking differently about their sourcing to create a new point of difference. So you could have a little look at your current supply and fulfillment, and is there a way that you can maybe embark on a collaborative project with one of your suppliers, or integrate more fulfillment services into your e-commerce store? This is something that things like Shopify will help you do. And this step is really most applicable to business to consumer organisations. So, for example, we know a bookstore in Leeds who are currently looking at how they can allow customers to order books in store, which can be delivered to their home or to friends. And through this system, they're able to increase their offering, supplying books they no longer have in stock because it comes straight through from their supplier. Or you could even, have a think about Leeds libraries who you can download books and magazines digitally. So it's really about finding new sources and how can you deliver that to people. Yeah, definitely. So we're about halfway through these 12 points to innovate. And we're really kind of rolling through them. Yeah, there's not much time, so we're rolling through, but we'll be able to supply the presentation afterwards. So number 6 is also about how can you get yourself out there? Can you piggyback off a bigger brand's platform? For example, musicians can actually gain more leverage through the coffee shop Cafe Nero. So Cafe Nero promote an artist of the month by featuring different musicians, and they do this through their store and the website. And in a way, it makes sense for a musician to promote their work through a coffee shop, but it may not have been your first choice or your first thought. And it's just about thinking of creative ways where you can maybe form a partnership in order to increase your presence and really get yourself out there. Number 7 is to catapult your brand into new realms by creating an alluring lifestyle around your product or service. So we think Nespresso does a really good job of this, because when you think of Nespresso, it's not just a coffee. You think about George Clooney and this whole kind of lifestyle where you become a social butterfly. You're inviting people over and you can treat them to wonderful beverages with your posh coffee machine. So really think about how you can make your brand or your product and service a little bit more alluring. How can you create a lifestyle experience around this? For example, when you do go into the Nespresso store, you can go and sit at their coffee bar and you can try the different offerings there. So again, just think about different activities that you can integrate into your services. Could you maybe provide different workshops, or we've seen a lot of fitness sessions, and just really create a world around your brand. It's not just about selling the product or service. Yeah, and there's a big coffee theme, which that is what fuels our lives. But moving on to number 8. So also, this is kind of what we mean as well when we say you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can already use what you've got and then just combine those different assets in a new way. So, almost build it up a bit like Lego. So one company that does this really well and has succeeded on pick and mix is Grace. So you can build your own Grace snack box online by selecting your own different items for it. And that means that they're able to provide thousands of different options just by creating all of these combinations and letting people pick. So think about using what you've already got. Yeah, and I think it's good to say that combination should maybe add a little extra value to the customers. So places like McDonald's do that really well, where sometimes it works out better to go with the meal deal rather than select lots of items separately. So number 9 is all about creating a customized service and product. So I think in this difficult time, people really appreciate that personalized approach. They want to be appreciated as the individual people that they are. And you can really solve the customer's unique challenges by celebrating their individualism. So again, another brand example would be Not on the High Street, and they have had so much success through allowing customers to customize almost any gift. And other larger retailers now are jumping on the bandwagon with this, such as John Lewis, who at Christmas time, you know, if you go into their stores, you can get like candles customized. We've seen perfume bottles customized, wine bottles. Really, you know, if you've got a service or product, you should be able to customize it in some way. Yeah. Also, think about any unmet needs by your customer, or if you work within an organization, is there anything else that you can, if you see a problem, is there anything new that you can do to help that? And this is especially important at this time, because the world is in this state of flux, and there's so many different opportunities now to innovate. So to do this, you need to be talking regularly to your audience or your colleagues in order to discover how you can help. So a quick action to take for this is to just issue a 1-question survey to your customers or your audience. And this could just be done through social media. Like you could just ask on Instagram or Twitter and ask, how's life? And then you can discover what may be troubling them or the organization, and just try and, by asking a broad question, you can gain more avenues for you to try and kind of enter and then explore further and see what problems are out there. And this point is very well connected to that, really. It's about taking the time to walk in your customers' shoes to improve their experience, and think about ways that you can design moments of magic. So if you maybe work in a store or like a restaurant, why don't you kind of do the secret shopper experience, go through and see how your colleagues or employees react and how you feel as a customer there. So there are pain points in every customer journey. You know, there's going to be parts where the customer has to wait for something, or maybe they've got a problem with the product, and it's all about finding ways that you can really help them through those difficult points. So I think a great example of this is Disney. When you go to Disney World or Disneyland, of course, you know that you're going to have to queue for the rides there. You can't really avoid that, but they make the experience so much more enjoyable. You don't often feel like you stood in a queue because there's spectacles everywhere. They have music, engaging visuals, and it's fun at every point. Yeah, and finally, all jobs or services have a life cycle. So there's introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So innovation is going to be what it takes to keep your business or your career alive and kicking and exciting. So when you feel like things are starting to reach that kind of growth or maturity, like the top of the curve, then that's when things start to fizzle out. So you really need to get in there before they do, and start making improvements. And a company that unfortunately did struggle with this was Kodak. So at the time that digital cameras were starting to come on the market, Kodak kind of ignored this and stuck to traditional film. And because they failed to keep up with the digital revolution, they had to play catch up. And the same happened to Polaroid as well. And it's just because they didn't keep up with the changing times and technology. Yeah, there's never kind of like, you know, the best time to innovate is now. So like it says on this slide, it's worth a try. Just be creative and try something new. And with this list of ideas, you don't have an excuse for becoming obsolete. So when there's a time to pivot, do consider all these 12 different steps, and I'm sure there's one there that's appropriate to your business. Yeah, and overall, don't feel like you have to keep going if something isn't a success. Instead, that's just an opportunity for new learning. So always be like evaluating and monitoring anything new that you do, and don't be afraid to make a change, because when winning is presented as the only option within your life or business, it can feel like quitting or failing at something is the end of the world. But honestly, it's not. And the amount of times that we've failed or fallen on our faces is enough to prove that the world isn't going to end. Just use your honest instinct and know whether you need to pivot or bow out. Yeah. And we really are kind of advocates for creativity, and we absolutely love supporting individuals, companies and brands with their design needs, or helping them to reevaluate and find ways to pivot their business. And we do have a range of different resources on our website for people to use, and these are completely free. Or if you'd prefer to have a more personal discussion, our door's always open, so please do get in touch. We've got some of our details on the screen there. And I think we just want to really thank Leeds Libraries again for allowing us to speak today. And if anybody has any questions now, I suppose we'd be very happy to answer those. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abigail and Chloe. It's wonderful. Some really great tips there on how we can innovate. So please do keep your speakers on mute, everyone. And if you've got any questions, if you put them in chat, and then I can read them out to Abigail and Chloe, or Sapphia if you've got any more questions about the library service and DropIn Draws. I really liked one of your last points about failing. And I think from a very young age, we're taught that failing is wrong, mistakes are wrong, but there's so much to learn from failing, and how you can do things differently the next time, or that kind of thing. So it's really nice to hear.
Oh, because I mean, honestly, the amount of times that we've tried something and it didn't quite work out the way that we wanted, but then like hindsight is a beautiful thing, and you realize, oh, actually that worked out quite well, because then we realized we could do this instead, and it just pushes you further. So it's really not a failure, it's a learning opportunity. Yeah, and I think it's important that we break the stigma down about that, because I think for some it stifles creativity. Well, yeah, and if you go to like a client or your boss or another colleague and you're like, oh, I failed, then it doesn't look good still, unless you've got a really supportive network. So being able to kind of make sure that everyone understands that it's okay to fail sometimes, it's just another way to learn.
Yeah, definitely. And especially when you're coding as well, you hardly ever get the code correct the first time, and then it's trying to look out for like tiny little mistakes that you've made. So that's what we teach in code clubs as well, is mistakes are okay, everyone makes them, and you move on. And I think, like what you've been saying today, a lot of innovation comes from looking for solutions for something that's not quite working. So instead of moaning or saying, oh, that's not working, oh, forget about that, you can look for a solution, can't you? And sometimes that's really quite a creative thing to do, and a positive thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Natalie is asking, how have you responded to the diversity moment? Social responsibility in business reflecting ethical approaches. That's a big question.
Yeah, that
all on your shoulders to solve all of that, but just how you've done it in maybe small ways for your business.
it's a really important question, and I think it is something that everybody should be considering. And I feel like it's always been on our radar anyway, because as two young women, and we're in, we come from a low socioeconomic area and things, we found it quite difficult, and we don't always feel represented. So we are always trying to be advocates for different groups and make sure people's voices are heard. And when we're working with clients, we're all working together on that, really. They're aware of it too. We're finding out ways that we can really involve making sure that in the visuals you can see somebody maybe that has a disability or is of a different race, genders. I think it's just making sure that it becomes part of everyday life, and that it should be something that you're continuing to evaluate and have a conversation with your clients and colleagues about. Yeah, there's also a website called, I can put it in the chat, it's design-can.com, and it's all about, they have some really good resources on how, if you're involved in design, how you can make sure that it's inclusive, and we try to follow a lot of those principles.
Yeah, I think inclusion is a huge thing in diversity as well, isn't it? A lot of the time, like we were saying before we started, a lot of people don't have access to data or equipment. So even if they've got a mobile phone, you think, oh, well, they can apply for a job, but they might not have enough money for the data or that kind of thing. And I think, yeah, very good point about conversations, listening to people and not getting defensive, which is quite a hard thing to do, especially as someone who's white, privileged. It's very important to just listen, take it in, and to respect people, really. I think definitely. That's my little tips anyway.
Yeah.
Fabulous. What's this? Only 30 minutes, Pauline. What's your secret? I'm not sure what that means. Is that from oh, here we go, Pauline. Oh no, Pauline, it took you 30 minutes to log in. I am so sorry. So that's another barrier that we have to think about, is that Zoom can be quite difficult sometimes, and Eventbrite as well. I know that sometimes it comes up with like a little online event information thing. It's not always clear that you have to click on that. So whenever we're doing talks, yeah, be very clear with your logging in information. So thank you, Pauline. I'm sorry it took you a while to get in, and I'm glad that you have made it in today.
I think that's part of designs, like the whole point of design is that it needs to make these kind of challenges easier. So like even Zoom, I think they've been evaluating that a lot recently. How can they make the software easier to use? And yeah, just going back to the idea of co-design as well, like when you're working on a project, can you get people involved so that everybody is on board, everybody gives their opinions, and it's accessible for everybody?
Yeah, very much so. There's a thing called unconscious bias, isn't there? Again, back to diversity and inclusion. And if you've just got the same people creating data sets or creating products or services, and they haven't tested it on other people who are not like them, it's not going to work, it's going to fail. You're not listening to your audiences, are you? So yeah, very, very important. Is there any more questions from anyone at all? Yes, we've had a few questions about how you can find this talk, and it will be on our YouTube playlist. I will send out that link to everyone who's joined us in all of our talks for the last 11 talks that we've had. So we've got talks from Natasha from Empowering Women with Tech. We've got some from Leeds Museums about social media, and lots of different talks. So we will send that out to you. I'm going to finish now, just because we're coming up to 1 o'clock. It's been a wonderful lunchtime hour with you all. It's so nice to see you, Lou, again. And Natalie, some of our tech mums. Lovely to see you, Pauline, Tracy, and a big thank you to our speakers, Abigail and Chloe from Buttercrumble. I love your top tips and I will be keeping them in my thoughts. And also to Sapphia Cunningham-Tate from Leeds Libraries, talking about DropIn Draw. Do join us. You've still got an hour. Hashtag DropIn Draw Leeds Libraries. Thank you again, everyone. Take care and have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. Bye. Bye.